good stage, I must say. From Ponteareas to Bayona, we've gone to completely different part of Spain, a completely different climate. The riders, the staff, everybody, the race, they're going to be so happy that they're up in the north of Spain, in Galicia. Now, this episode is brought to you by Join Cycling, the #1 training platform for your cycling needs. Any news pre-stage, Benji? Any rest day news? Any abandons? I guess most of the news was people continuing. Like Ineos said Aronson would continue, Van Aertvelt would continue on Lotto, etc.
And also we saw Kion Uiterbroeks at the start as well, which is one of the riders that in the last week hadn't been the most impressive rider. I think that's fair to say. He's been underperforming pretty significantly. Now, I do believe that Laurens de Plus, Kobe Goossens, and Harold Martin Lopez exited the race. I think Kobe Goossens was pretty sad about it on Twitter. So give him some support. Anyway, we've got a parcours that, honestly, when I looked at it 2 weeks ago, I was like, Breakaway wins this, 100%. But it got a bit more spicier because of the spice that was thrown at the race in the first 9 days. Because we've seen 2 occasions where GC riders went into an early breakaway and gained a lot of time back. And opportunities arise with every breakaway stage, and especially when they start off quite climby like today's stage. Because I don't know if you've gone through the stage, but 160 kilometers starting off with a proper climb, but it's 4%. Is 4% enough to break it open if you're a GC rider, maybe jump into a larger group, etc.?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, because it's hard enough that it's uphill, it's long enough, but also it's not so hard that your teammates can't join you. So if you're, I don't know, Sepp Kuss, it's a great climb for Wout van Aert to be in there with you. If you're Lennart van Aertvelt, it's a great climb for Victor Campenaerts, he's in this race, to be in there with you. So, no, just checking. It wasn't a snub. And so, yeah, I thought there was going to be more action, and we did have televised coverage. I don't know why they picked this stage to have full coverage. I mean, it was good to have it. It was good to have it. There was a good break fight, but stage 9 I would have picked instead, right?
I got tagged by someone, I think a Spanish person, that was like, okay, Patrick, Benji, it's on TDP already live at the moment. I was like, wow, maybe it's on the gym. Discovery Plus as well. So I opened Discovery Plus. I saw, nice try. I saw open Discovery Plus. I saw a break formation happening. I was pretty hyped about that because I do like myself a good break formation. But second half of the parcours, 3 climbs in there. Alto de Villachan followed by Alto de Mabia and Alto de Mugas. The last one, the longest, but it's a medium mountain. And this is actually, is this the climb? The Lopez Car climb?
Ooh, I don't know. I think you might be right about that. I think you might be right. It's not the No Risk, No Glory climb, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not?
Luke says it is. It is the Lopez Car climb.
Bueno, hombres, fue un placer. Yo quedo por aquí.
No clue what you're saying.
That's what he said. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Oh. I'll be stopping here now. That's what he said.
Actually, pretty calm.
Like, pretty calm, yeah. Just full gone. Anyway, it's an interesting stage because there's hard parts in. Now we don't have the rampas. I would say that this was no rampas. The climbs are wider. The temperatures are lower. 20 degrees, 23 degrees. Beautiful scenes. I love Galicia in the north of Spain. It's really, really attractive. A bit more green, and it's not as hard, even if it's a 3,000 meter elevation stage. To me, it's just not as hard as some of those medium mountains climbs we've had earlier in the week. Like that 4K 7% climb they finished on where Roglic took a minute on O'Connor was absolutely brutal. So compared to this, so it's an interesting stage, Benji. It's also a stage. What have we seen from? Where would you say the biggest advantage Roglic has on O'Connor, power-wise, duration-wise, that he's demonstrated so far this Vuelta?
On punchy medium mountains is what we can conclude so far. Now, doing it on that versatile sprint stage was maybe a bit over the top, but on a stage like this, you'd say that Roglic has an upper hand over O'Connor if it really comes down to it. Maybe the consecutive amount of climbs fit O'Connor a little better than a Unipuerto medium mountain climb,
true.
Potentially.
Yeah,
but
true.
Hey, depends on whether he drops on the first one or not. But you're right. But when it comes to early break formation on the first climb of the day, we spoke about break formation. Who did we see being active?
We saw Bora being active with Lipovitz. I saw the white jersey jumping quite a lot. Now, I was only half watching, so you have to correct me, Benji, but were others jumping from Bora?
You were doing the reps.
I don't do no bicep curls. I want I'm trying to lose weight. Was Danny Martinez and Aliotti or Vlasov jumping, or was it mainly Lipovitz?
I feel like we had multiple situations. First of all, I saw an occasion where McNulty tried to go up the road and Martinez closed him. So that was an occasion where Bora was closing riders that were going up the road. I feel like they did that twice with the UAE rider. That's something I noticed. So maybe they were marking UAE. Then I don't even know why they would, but
yeah, not a good finishing climb for Jates.
Yeah, I agree. But then we get to later where there's a 7-man group with non-dangerous riders on 30 minutes, not necessarily even part of opposing teams of Bora. And we see a Bora rider, not Lipovitz, I don't know who it was, trying to close. Well, we first see Bora pacing behind that, which I'm like, okay, maybe they're trying to let the gap out to make this easy to control break go up the road. But no, then suddenly out of nowhere, there's a rider that's half trying to bridge, half trying to close it. And I couldn't figure that out. And then it looked like they were trying to put Lipovitz in a breakaway. So it seemed to me that they were so desperate to get Lipovitz in a breakaway up ahead that they were closing non-dangerous breakaways to begin with, which, to be honest, the last time Lipovitz was in an early breakaway, it didn't actually end well for Bora.
That's what I mean. Like, okay, I sort of understand it in theory that you have the 2 GC guys versus 1. They got 2 options. Actually, that's not true. They got Felix Gall at Decathlon. Like, he's up there in GC. Like, honestly, if you're Bora Benji and Lipovitz goes in the breakaway with Felix Gall, if I'm Decathlon, I let it go take 10 minutes. Decathlon are more likely to win this race, Felix Gall beating Lipovitz, than O'Connor versus Roglic. So I don't even think it's like Gall looks super good. I don't know why they're still trying to be like complicated 4D chess. It's first of all, they can't manage the situations properly, and when it does happen,
yeah. Is it because they lost a little bit of confidence in Roglic on the last mountain stage where he had a bit of a wobble? If I don't know, sorry, but if you have to lose confidence after one wobble,
ain't winning this Vuelta, no? Like he really,
course.
Yeah.
So I think they should have stayed simple. 7-man non-dangerous breakaway goes up the road. Let it go. Decathlon can take care of it. If you feel good on the last 3 climbs, do a lead out for Roglic. Try and see if he can get another minute into O'Connor like he did on the last medium mountain finish. But that's not what they did, and I don't really know why.
Or put a non-GC Bora in, put Aliotti in, and then you can have a satellite rider for after the final climb. Nico Denz, see if you can make it. No, Holman made it already. Holman made it over.
Yeah.
So in the breakaway. So I mean, Holman actually looks really skinny. But yeah, I was.
Well, Denz dropped on the climb, so.
Well, yeah, we'll get to what they did in a second. But you've already heard about me going to the gym. But as you know, I've been. I always get you with the segue, Benji. Benji, we've been doing this for 5 years, and you still don't know when the read is coming. And I just hit you with, I'm that good. I've been mixing it up. Bit of gym, bit of running, actually still a decent amount of cycling. Yesterday, I made sure first thing I've learnt, Benji, the first thing you got to do on a rest day is get out and actually ride your bike because other admin things come up on your rest day. Or a transfer recap podcast, which you should go and check out if you haven't listened to it and you got time. We did yesterday.
You take the same rest day as the riders?
Yeah, I've been working harder, dude. I have to watch the whole stage, and then we have to do a pod, and then I have to do a video. That's twice the amount of work. So
fair. And then you have to do your weightlifting or whatever you're doing.
And then I have to train. And then I have to train. So when you really think about it, who's working harder here? But yeah, as you know, I've been mixing things up and using Join Cycling to keep on top of my cycling training goals. I want to get better on the long climbs. I've always been a punchy rider. really like naturally good with my 1 minute power. I don't really need to train to improve that. But what I really need and what really makes the biggest difference I've noticed, and I noticed this, I went for a ride. I've been doing just like FTP builder, stamina builder. FTP has gone up maybe like 10, 15 watts and I've lost weight. So that's gone really, really well. I'm like RPE on the climbs around my house, unbelievably like better compared to a year ago. I compare my summer times and I'm going way, way, way better. But the biggest difference was I went for a ride with Seb in Girona, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, just 200 watts the whole time, conversational pace, and I calibrated my power meter, Benji. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm now like enjoying riding again, like properly with like fit people. So that was the most rewarding experience I've had so far. And I put that down to just following the joint cycling adaptive plans I've been doing. I'm not perfect. Like, I'm really not. We're busy people. I don't do every workout perfectly. I don't do all the workouts scheduled a week, but that's the point. It adapts immediately in the click of your finger, and we move on, and I just keep a slow and steady trajectory upwards rather than regressing. So I'm really, really happy and keen to see where I'm going to be as the weather cools down a little bit. So if you want to check out Joint Cycling, you can go through the link down below and get still 30-day free trial available if you haven't downloaded it yet. And if you have downloaded it before, there's a whole bunch of new features always being rolled out. Calendar view on the way, RPE for how you feel in the morning. All those things are being rolled out every month as new features. So go check it out through the link down below. Join Cycling, the show partner of LRCP. But a break eventually goes, Benji, of 3 men. But it's touch and go for a long time for these guys.
Exactly. We've got Wout van Aert, Marc Soler, and who was the third one in that one? Was it Leclerc already?
It's Leclerc.
So I thought so.
Yeah.
So those 3 riders up the road, and to be honest, they were keeping up front, but it's also, you've got Van Aert, Soler, Leclerc up the road, but then behind you have the continuous fight for breakaway formation, and it's kind of the whole process we've been talking about. Bora trying to slip Lipovic in, UAE trying, well, they're in the breakaway, so they stopped. The Decathlon started to somewhat try to control, I felt like, and also, there was a moment where O'Connor was actually closing on Lipovic himself. So they were definitely trying to control Lipovic, Decathlon. Now, let's get a bit further. We eventually get 2 riders bridging towards the front, Yuri Holman and Pacher, and it's like, breakaway formations are weird, right? Because you can have Wout van Aert, Soler, and Leclerc be up the road forever, and you've got all these super strong riders trying to close that down, and Conte and Pacher, solid breakaway rider. Yuri Holman, solid rouleur. But at the start of the day, I wouldn't have expected Yuri Holman to be the guy that would be, together with Pacher, bridging up to that 3-man group up the road.
Yeah, and that was like a gift that they couldn't have dreamt of better in the 3 in front, because the 3 in front, they know it's not just going to be those 3. What they want is a second group to come across so that they get a gap, and they're just like, just come on guys, Israel, Jayco, Alpecin, FDJ, come on, get your act together, come across, and we'll sort it out, and we'll fight for the stage win so the GC doesn't go for it. And it felt like a Tour de France stage to me, Benji. Today felt like the first stage. It really felt like a Tour de France stage with Decathlon, like super. It really did.
It's the first stage we saw the break formation of.
True, maybe stage 9 would have felt like that. But Holman gets across, and Pacher means, I was like, okay, now it's 5. Now you got 2 less teams jumping in the back, and the only 2 teams left are Israel and Jayco, and Schmidt was fucked. And Holman is strong as hell, so is Pacher. And now you got 5 guys pulling strong, and that was the big difference.
Why are there only 2 other teams jumping at this moment? Because, I'm sorry, but Equipo Ken Pharma, Oiskaltel,
Equipo tried.
Like,
Cofidis, I don't know where they are.
I would have expected more teams to keep on trying after this 5-man group. And sure, Demarchi ended up in a Chasse Patate behind that, but I was kind of surprised at how everybody was kind of okay. A bit later with Decathlon trying to gently let the gap open up, and they did that. The gap grew from 1 minute to 2 minutes to 6 minutes, roughly, I think, maximum. So Van Aert, Soler, Leclerc, Yuri Holman, and Conte and Pacher. 5-man group up the road, and we get to the first of the 3 climbs. Alto de Mabia, the gap is down to 5 minutes at the foot, because Decathlon sped it up a little bit towards the foot of the climb. And sorry, I was immediately in Solaire spotting mode, and I think you were as well.
Yes.
We were looking around at Solaire, and I started to see him struggle on that climb. And I'm sorry, but him struggling on Alto de Mabia, the first of the 3 climbs, I do not believe a word of that.
Dude, everyone knows. Like, not even just me watching, like you watching. The whole breakaway knows. They're like, we know you're not fucked. So it's like when LeBron does the look away step back 3, trying to do the same move every time. But like today, they weren't having it. He goes back. He's got a hangdog expression. He's leaving a gap when the surf is pacing on 5%. He's going to the car, beat on. And it's like, it's risky if you are the best climber in the group. Because if you're the best climber in the group, shouldn't you just want to get to the steep part of the last climb together and then try your best?
Yeah.
So I don't even know why he does it. It's like a compulsion.
It's like a tick. He has to.
Yeah, it's like, that's why I always said that Rui Costa, everyone's like, oh, he's such a savvy veteran in the break. It's like, actually, he's not. Like, he just, he fucks himself over half the time.
But while that is happening at the front, we go to the back and we see in the peloton, Bora Hansgrohe moves to the front. I think it's with Nico Denze and Patrick Gamper, who actually start setting a pretty fast tempo to the point where, like, I'm sorry, but United Brooks already dropped on the first climb. I don't know if he actually came back for that, whether he then dropped again, but it was more than just him dropping. It was quite a lot of riders dropping under that tempo of Denze and Gamper, so it must have been a pretty serious tempo. Van Eetveld was dropped.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of an other issue going on than him being dropped and there only being 15 riders left, because there was more than 50 riders left. There was still a proper peloton, but it just, let's say 30% was gone, 35% was gone. But confusingly, the camera goes back to the front and then it goes back and we see the front of the peloton and Bora stopped pacing. And I cannot for the life of me think through why you'd want to pace for 2 minutes. It wasn't even the technical segment there. Like, sure, it's narrow, but it was narrow the whole way.
They paced longer than just positioning into the base of the climb, right?
I agree.
I also don't know what's happening there. I thought when they came to the front and Den started hitting it, I was like, oh, good. Like, this is smart. You've let Decathlon carry the stage. You come to the 3 climbs and you're going to lead it out and make it hard. And then Roglic can go on a climb that really suits him on the steep section, the 3rd climb. I don't know if it's Denz and Gamper are just completely overpacing, and then they drop after a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then Aliotti, well, they do overpace. Then Aliotti goes to front, and then he's thinking, "Am I going to pace this climb, plateau, descent, next climb, plateau, valley? Like, come on." That's too much for one small guy, and he's not going to be able to make it hard if he actually has to do all of that. And then, or is Roglic saying, I don't feel good? Stop.
Possible.
I don't know which. Because also, Danny Martinez should pull before Aliotti. Yeah. Aliotti is stronger than Martinez. So I also don't know if they should reverse that order. But
also because Martinez was way more active in break formation as well today.
Yeah.
In closing gaps, etc. So that also plays into that role. But I guess
it's
in the
weakness.
mountain terrain,
it's weakness either of the team or of Roglic.
I can't think of another reason than, okay, maybe Roglic at first thought, okay, let's make something happen today, and then realized, okay, today won't be the day. I don't feel that good, whatever. It's Imagine if Lipovic felt bad and they were like, let's not lose the white jersey today. There's no way that happened, in my opinion.
Nah, I don't know. But it was very strange, and there was some strange stuff on the last climb too. The GC group on the second climb didn't really do anything. The Solaire Hollywooding gets even more intense on the second climb, which is, there's a little valley before it, which was called that was Mabia. I thought maybe someone would try to Fuga here. I thought I thought Yuri Holman, I was like, you got a Fuga here on the 3% bit at the end, brother, because otherwise you cannot win the stage. Or maybe he'd been dropped. I think maybe he couldn't. And And it's interesting because we get into the valley afterwards. Last 5K, 6K, an intermediate sprint just before the final climb. The final climb's 9Ks. It's irregular. The first 4Ks are steep, and then it really levels off and widens out and is an open plateau, which suits the bigger boys, which is Pacher and Van Aert in particular. Pacher is probably about the same weight as Soler, I would say. And these stages are interesting because it's not like stage 7 where all the GC guys come to the final climb fresh with Wout van Aert, with Pacher, etc. Pacher was 6th on that stage and passed that climb well. Soler obviously attacked, was extremely strong. This is different because they've had to fight to get in the break. Leclerc, for example, is 57 kilos, 58 kilos? He's had to fight for a good hour and a half, 2 hours to get in the break and extend the gap on mostly flat to shallow terrain. Van Aert is, 80 kegs?
Yeah.
And he is having to do way less watts per kilo the whole time. So he is coming to this climb so much fresher than the small guys, in theory. But
also, we're not getting to that climb yet.
Yeah.
We're still in the valley, and there's an intermediate sprint before the final climb, before the Alto de Mugas, the Lopez Scar climb. We'll name it that forever. And that intermediate sprint becomes very important. We get this moment where, okay, the riders in the breakaway, they're riding together towards that final climb, and Marc Soler goes to the back to his team car for the 17th time today. He wants to get a beat on and a gel or whatever, and the intermediate sprint is coming up. It's like in 500 meters, 700 meters, and we see Wout van Aert go to the right of the road, and he starts steam training on. It looked like an attack from the saddle, and there's no imminent response from the other riders there, from the likes of Leclerc, from the likes of Pacher, from the likes of Holman. And Soler definitely ain't responding because he's busy with the beat-ons and the gels at this point. So, is it, number one, is it clever for Soler to be at the team car in the first place at this point in the race?
He thinks he's being clever by recovering or whatever he's doing, talking to the car, sticky gel, sticky bit on. He thinks he's being clever. And all the other guys were like, he's been doing it way too much. Like, they were all like, he's just been back there the whole time. They all know he's going to attack on the steep section on the climb coming up. They all know. Yeah. And so Soler played himself because Van Aert, I don't think it's a coincidence that Van Aert attacked at that moment when Soler was back there. Soler's also the biggest climbing threat to him. Like, Pacher is not going to drop him on this climb, nor beat him in the sprint. Soler's the biggest threat to drop him. Also, if Leclerc drops Van Aert, it's going to be hard for him to keep the gaps. So Soler's the real danger, and so I think that's why Van Aert attacked. And
but also, why no response from Pacher, Holman, and Leclerc? Is it because of that intermediate sprint? Were they really thinking that he was just going for the intermediate sprint?
I think he initially got his gap of 3 meters because they thought he was rolling off the front to get the intermediate sprint, and then in the saddle, almost imperceptibly. Also, whilst Leclerc is on the front, who, as I said, is 57 kilos, Van Aert just does a full gas effort in the saddle without changing body position, and all of a sudden the gap's 20 meters. And he looks back, he's like, 20 meters? Thanks. And Pacher is like, holy shit. And he jumps. So Pacher saved his race up to that point. Like, he made a really smart decision, but Pacher jumping also spells doom for the rest. Pacher going to Van Aert is the best thing for Van Aert because Pacher's super strong. That's why I've picked him for every Vuelta breakaway stage for the last 3 years, and he hasn't paid me back yet. And it's just one less guy to chase behind, and he'll collaborate. So it was looking... Van Aert actually rarely has done these moves before, Benji. This seems to be different.
Yeah, and also exactly at that moment, and Soler is getting a sticky bottle again to kind of follow the tempo of Leclerc at that moment. Then he gets to Leclerc, then he moves to the front of that, so he clearly had something left. Moves to the front of the Leclerc and Holman group and starts spacing that behind, well, Pacher, who is now catching up with Wout van Aert. So it's 2v3, but reality is the front two, in my opinion, in aggregate, are stronger than the last three together. And especially with Wout van Aert on the flat, Soler just needs to damage control at this point until the climb. And that damage control kind of doesn't work because the gap goes from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, and by the foot of the Alto de Mugas, Wout van Aert and Pacher have 25 seconds on Soler, and Leclerc. Holman's already dropping on the early moments of the climb, which is not necessarily surprising, but still good of him that he was here in the first place, because didn't see him being on that break on my bingo card today. So it's 2 versus 2 now on the climb. And on paper, you'd think, okay, Soler can catch up a little bit. But did that happen?
First, he's looking at LRCP a little bit to pace on the first 2Ks. Then he realizes he's not going to pull too much on the steep section. The first 4Ks are steep. And this was looking bad for Soler, mainly because even if he bridges 25 seconds back, which is going to require an all-out effort, also because Pacher is relaying with Van Aert, and Pacher is also super strong. Even if he makes it back, by the time he makes it back, his opportunity to attack is over. They will have gone past the steep.
They would have gone past the steep section. That is true.
And yeah, so it was not looking good for Soler, and eventually the gap goes to 30 seconds. It pretty much holds stable at 30 seconds. It goes out once they pass the steep section and get to the what is it, the 3 and 4%, the 4% and the 2.5% section on the plateau. I was like, Quentin Pacher, it was 30 seconds still. I was like, Pacher, you got to stop. You got to stop relaying. Like, it's 30 seconds. Wout van Aert want to keep Soler behind. You got to use Soler as a threat to Van Aert to keep pulling. And he doesn't. He keeps relaying. And then with the 2 strong guys relaying on 3%, LRCP attacks Soler. It goes from 30 seconds to 60 seconds in about 5 minutes. And that means it's just over for Group 2 and also over for Pacher, because now Van Aert doesn't have to ride all out. It's a descent coming up. There's a bit of flat and there's a hill, but he can just ride tempo.
He can. In my personal opinion, Quentin Pacher, yes, it's extremely unlikely that he's going to win from this situation. We can't pretend that he's got a large chance of beating Wout van Aert, but from the moment that the gap is 25 for even on the climb itself already,
he never should have pulled.
Towards the end of the climb, he should never pull with Wout van Aert. And sure, he has a limited chance, very limited chance to win, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't optimize your chances to begin with. It's not impossible that there's a miracle that suddenly you can, Wout van Aert has an issue, whatever, and you can get to a victory. So maximize your chances, even though your chances are slim. And then, okay, 2 scenarios. You stop pulling at the top of the climb. Wout van Aert keeps pulling. When the gap is 35, 30 seconds, sure. If that happens, okay, then you stay in his wheel the entire race. Or you decide to attack from his wheel at a certain point, fair. Then you're optimizing your chances to get away if you do make that move. Because Van Aert is on paper spending more energy from the front than you're in his wheel. And sure, if Wout van Aert, which I don't expect him to do, if Wout van Aert decides to sit up because he's like, oh, if you're not pulling, I'm not pulling, fine. Yes, you're giving up a potential second position at a Vuelta stage, but you've gotten that in your career already. In my opinion, there's a larger chance to get away from a 4-man group than a 2-man group. Because in a 2-man group, Wout van Aert will always respond to you. In a 4-man group, Wout van Aert might respond to someone else first, and then maybe not respond to you, and then Soler might have to respond to that, and Soler doesn't, then there's all these group dynamic situations that might occur. Is it a large chance that Pacher wins regardless of tactics today? He's got a very limited chance, regardless of which tactic you choose, but
he's got a decent
he definitely
chance.
Didn't maximize his chances, in my opinion.
I think he had a decent chance because he's always going to win the sprint between LRCP and Soler. He's a way quicker sprinter than them. There's a 1.5K 5% hill coming up just before the finish. Both of those 2, if they return, will not want to go to a sprint. So you essentially have 2 teammates. Everyone will roll attacks on Van Aert. Yeah. LRCP will attack in the descent. Like, no one wants to go to a sprint with Van Aert. So, and Pacher, he was really pulling, like really, really, really pulling. Now, maybe Van Aert, if I think what would have happened if Pacher refuses to relay, I think Van Aert would have attacked him, and then that might have been all she wrote. Maybe he said that to him. So, but yeah, he was very, very generous.
Attack you. But hey, still, then at least you optimized your chances to win in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, credit to him, he was very strong, but yeah, he wasn't. Some guys, you know, they come in, they're 22 years old, and they just got that switch that they know how to win. Some guys never get it.
But pause. We go back to the peloton. Nothing's happened on the climb. So whatever Broe was cooking up on the second climb of the day, nothing really eventuated. And we see the attack of a furious rider. A Noise Cartel veteran, Jean Beau, attacks from the peloton. I was thinking, you say what? What do you think is the rationale?
I don't know. And I still don't know because nothing happened in the end.
Exposure, UCI points, the attack of Jean-Bou?
Oh, that was for points. I thought you meant the EF move.
No. I forgot the EF move totally for today.
EF paced all out with Cepeda. They reduced it to 25 and then stopped, and Carapaz didn't attack.
Well, he might have attacked. The camera went away.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Maybe Carapaz made a move or not. I didn't see it on TV because they showed the breakaway just as Cepeda went off the front.
Oh, no. Your man's going for points, and he doubled his points total, coming in uncontested for 6th. So, yeah, smart move from Muscatel, knowing the points system.
Yep.
But, yeah, Van Aert's going clear with Pacher. Pacher keeps relaying. He tries to attack him with 3Ks to go. It doesn't work. Pacher honorably starts to just basically leads it out, and Van Aert does the predictable business and beats him in the sprint by a considerable margin, winning the stage ahead of Quentin Pacher's third stage at the Vuelta so far. Wout van Aert, Soler, Yuri Holman comes back to them on the descent, so maybe they were doing a bad descent, or I don't really know, playing around. It was a really big gap in the end, 2 minutes, and Soler wins the sprint behind for third, Lecef fourth, Holman fifth, Jaralski sixth, Narvaez seventh. Probably a disappointing Vuelta, I would say, for Narvaez so far. Kung eighth, Bennett ninth, Tejada 10th.
So yeah, correction, it's not Jean-Bou, it's Chomin Quaristi. He deserves the credit. He did that attack. Well, we got to at least name the right Euskaltel rider here. But overall, Wout van Aert has won 3 stages in this Vuelta so far, 2 of which were basically sprints. The first one a bit more of a regular sprint than the second one, which was more a versatile sprint. This third race is a breakaway victory. You reckon he can win more? Because when I'm looking at the parcours of even tomorrow, kind of fits him. But the thing is, he needs to go in the break again, I think, for a stage like tomorrow. Because is that controllable? We're going into tomorrow already. Talk about the profile first.
Yeah, we may as well look to tomorrow. 167 Ks, yeah, from a technological campus in Padron to the same technological campus. I don't know if they start in the technological campus, so we're going to get Wout van Aert. Is it like computers or welding? Is Wout van Aert get him on the carpentry tools? Actually, no, Visma had way too many injuries. Do not let him do any welding, anything like that. It looks like a world championship circuit. It's the same amount of Ks as today. It's actually got less climbing, but the last climb is harder, but it looks like a world champ style circuit where they do 2 opening hills, then 10 Ks, 4%.
Baby Worlds.
Yeah, Baby Worlds. There's a little Spanish warm-up for Worlds. 5 Ks, 6%, which is irregular. It's actually steeper than that. That's fake news, actually. That's just 2 Ks at 11%. And then, that's just a fake news climb. And then they do that again. Then there's the bonus and intermediate sprint in Osisto. Then a few more hills that are of no significant consequence. Then the Puerto Cruceras, 2.8 Ks, 9.2%, the hardest climb of the day, and also the steepest with 600 meters at 11%, and then another 600 meters at 10% nearer to the top. So I would say that's actually a harder climb than the one today, and it's very close to the finish. The crest is 8 Ks, descent 2 Ks of flat to the finish. You're not going to bring anyone back. So, this is the kind of climb where I'd be perfectly fine with Bora throwing it open for Roglic to potentially. He has to try something on this last climb to put it into O'Connor. That's for sure. Like this is not that versatile sprint stage of half a week ago where they tried to go on a climb with 28 kilometers to go, which it topped. So this is the kind of stage where Roglic needs to do that. But you reckon someone will control from the peloton? It's only Bora, right? Let's go through UAE breakaway. Visma breakaway.
Yeah.
Decathlon, let the break win.
Yeah.
Trek, they're kind of fucked. Yeah. Who else is here on GC? Ineos breakaway.
Ineos. By the way, can we talk about Ineos? Is it me or have they been basically invisible this race?
Carlos actually doing his best, man. Carlos really, he's been out of position because they haven't let him out into the base of a lot of climbs, like on Hazalanas and the steep one where Sivakov attacked on stage 4. Carlos actually doing a really, really good job. And in fact, were it not for Carapaz and Yates in the breakaway and O'Connor, he would be 6th on GC.
But they are there, eh?
Yeah, but that's not Carlos' fault. I'm saying it's the team is not.
It's not, but it also shows that he's not the kind of guy that would go for those same kind of moves that Carapaz and O'Connor have gone through to get in that spot in the first place. Same for Yates.
True, he's a little bit close on GC and maybe a bit too much. Like Mas will not follow Gadu, but he will follow maybe Carlos. I don't know. Certainly Lipovitz will follow Rodriguez because he's 30 seconds behind him for the white jersey.
What I was trying to say is, it's not like Carlos Rodriguez has done the moves that Adam Yates and O'Connor and Carapaz have done.
No,
like
he never tries anything.
Fair, that's maybe his riding style, but it also makes it so he's always kind of in the background. And I feel like Ineos has just been a background team in this race, which is a bit unfortunate. But they've also got bad luck with Arensman's heat stroke and the Plus now getting out of the race before today's stage. So
Carlin crashing.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Narvaez also, like, he's not made a break just about.
Yeah, disappointing so far.
So compared to the Giro. But yeah,
Luciano Rodriguez should try to slip in the breakaway at some point in the next week.
I don't know if he was. Yeah, I think so. I think tomorrow is a breakaway stage because I think it's going to be tough for Bora to actually control for the victory. And if I was them, I think that's a big risk because their team is not strong enough to do both. The team is not strong enough to both control for the victory and come into position and actually make the final climb hard. So I think
better have a good lead out on the final climb.
Yeah.
Than a half-assed lead out where Roglic needs to ramage everything together to even get separation in the first place.
Exactly. So I think breakaway, there's a couple of hills for it to form early. The first categorized climb's pretty easy in the first hour. So there's 3 golden opportunities for the break to form in the first hour. And then there's big valleys, really big valleys for the break to extend its advantage. So it looks really like a break. Yeah, exactly. Like on the second repetition of Agua Santas, if there's good climbers in the breakaway, it's flatter at the top. You want a Fuga because 3K is 9%. Like for example, Mike Woods, if he's in the break, you cannot go to the last Cat 3 with him.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a very interesting stage.
Okay. My winner for the stage is Isaac Del Toro. Because he's been invisible this whole race, and I want to see him on screen at some point.
Isaac Del Toro, you say? Israel really wanted to be in the break today. They didn't get in. They will really, really want to be in the break tomorrow. That Ricciardello was better today. I think maybe the heat he was suffering in. Van Avermaet's suffering, so I can't pick him. Woods lost time today, maybe on purpose. I don't know why. I'm going to go with McNuggets.
Okay. Who's trying today?
It's a good climb for McNulty. It's a really good climb for McNulty.
Martinez closed him to gate. Sorry.
Wait.
What do you say?
I just think it's the perfect finish for him, and even if he'll control a Fuga. So, yeah. Wait, do you think Danny's going to keep controlling him?
Imagine.
That would be funny. Yeah. But what about for GC?
I think, to be honest, if Roglic can't distance Ben O'Connor on a stage like this, on pure punch, he should be able to a little bit, no? Should at least be able to see some suffering in O'Connor on a stage like this.
He should be able to create separation.
Punch. Yeah. On a climb like this, he should be able to drop O'Connor. Full stop. And
it's not like the other day, 25Ks pedaling to the finish. Like, it's straight down and then you're at the finish. Like, you can hold a 10-second gap. But I don't know if they're going to go for the bonies. I don't know. I think something is strange with what they're doing with Lipovitz and Roglic. They clearly really care about Lipovitz GC. So it's hard to predict what they'll do. Decathlon looking good.
Yeah.
How many decathlons finished in the group today?
PPP, Gull, and let me check.
Oh, VPP and Gull. So Berthet dropped. That's actually not that good. From Berthet and Bouchard, you'd actually expect them to be a bit better. Anyway, this Bora can't do anything because Gull is stronger than Lipovitz and Danny Martinez and Aliotti are not really that strong either. So
yeah.
What about Mas?
Well, this is not the day for Mas to do anything.
If I'm Mas, I don't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm Mas, I wait for
Ancares,
but also Cuito Negro to do something, and those are the two climbs where you'd want to get as much out of it as possible.
Yeah, I think that's where Mas can actually win this Vuelta is 13 and 15.
Yeah.
Like uphill, steep as hell.
Limited stages for Mas to really get something out of.
Sorry, I dropped out. What did you say, Benji?
Limited stages for Mas to really get something out of. You know, those actual Unipuerto long stage, like not long stage, but like the longer climbs, the longer efforts, you know?
And those climbs, based on what we've seen in this race, like Ancares and Cuito Negro, they look really, really, really good for him. And they're going to be tough for O'Connor. So it's really heating up. Tomorrow should be a breakaway, maybe a GC skirmish. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the Vuelta so far. Elsewhere, Tour of Hainan, .pro race, Mareshko wins.
We're not covering Tour of Hainan here, I'm sorry.
Yes, we are. The Asia specialist wins the sprint. It's his 50th pro win. Thanks for coming, for Korotek. But actually, the reason I brought it up is because Astana sent Lutsenko, Mulubran, and Pronsky. That's like their three best. And Dostiev, and his points don't count. Do they know his points don't count?
I hope they do.
Like, they should apply to have Dostiev come up into the World Tour team today if they got space, because he can top 5 GC. Oh, actually,
they have no space, I think.
No, he can't. It's a good, so they're trying to lock out, I think, first and third for points, or maybe they're punishing Lutsenko. I don't know, but
imagine if they had sent Bettiol to Hainan as his first race for.
Nah, he's doing Renewy Tour, which starts tomorrow. So Renewy Tour starts tomorrow. Actually, very stacked start list, 5-day Classic C stage race with absolutely crazy sprint field, right?
The disrespect by calling it Renewy Tour, not the Bingo Bongo Tour. Come on. Get your act together.
It's got Van der Poel, Philipsen, Søren Kragh, Merlier, Biniam, Coy, Jonathan Milan with Sturva, Dali, Norwich, Welsford, Ganna, Sheffield, Zangler, Bennett, Cosnefroy, Pithi, Gaviria, Jakobsen, Groenewegen, no Cavendish, Bettiol, and Trentin. Where's Arvid Decline, Luke? Is he injured? I feel like I've not seen our boy Arvid for a while. DNF driven cause. Anyway, that's going to be a fantastic race. I can't wait to watch that, because we got basically a sprint, I think, tomorrow. Oh, no, it's a classic stage tomorrow, but Philipsen should survive. A TT on stage 2. On stage 3 is another sprint, but it's got the Hoden kilometers, the bonus kilometers. Stage 4 is another sprint, and then stage 5 is the very, very hard Gerardsbergen classic stage, which is usually quite exciting. So we'll see what shape Van der Poel's in. I'm really looking forward to watching it. Anything else, Benji, before we get out of here?
Not really.
Not really. Luke says that Decline was injured. He injured his knee on Teide, so Luke knows exactly what's happening with Arvid Decline at all relevant moments. So Arvid Decline lovers, you have been consider yourself suitably updated. That's all from us. Hope you enjoyed this Vuelta Stage 10 recap. We'll be back for some more action tomorrow. Until then, ciao.